This is not what you want for your president. That has nothing to do with me. This is not what you want. She's a very low IQ individual. She's dumb as a rock, and you can't have that. You can't have that. We love our country too much. You can't have it. We just went through 4 years of it. You can't have any more. A country can only take so much.
For once, I agree. A country can only take so much. Ever since Vice President Kamala Harris announced her candidacy for president 103 days ago, that guy, Donald Trump, has shown us exactly who he is and who he'd be as president. He's someone who knows no bottom when it comes to insulting and threatening and debasing the office of the presidency and his political opponents, as we've been discussing. Our next guest is someone who's been sounding the alarm on the dangerous and autocratic nature of the ex-president's campaign. And in a chilling Substack published today, he combines quotes from the 1939 Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden with quotes from Trump's final campaign rallies and dares us all to find the difference. Joining us now, Yale University history professor, author of the best-selling book that has become my North Star, On Tyranny and On Freedom. Tim Snyder is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
I look for your missives in these final days, and I'm dying to talk to you about this one. Take me through what you've put together and the echoes. I think Ken Burns says rhymes and echoes are the better words than repeats between 1939 and now.
Rhymes and echoes is good. Resonances and continuities is good. Risks and possible futures are also good. It's not that we're comparing Mr. Trump to figures in the past. It's rather that we're realizing that Mr. Trump all along has understood the darkest chapters of our past and that he wishes for those chapters to continue. His rally in Madison Square Garden, I believe, was a conscious reference to the 1939 American Nazi rally. And certainly if you put the text side by side, the things that were said on Sunday at the Trump rally are just as chilling as the things that were said in February 1939. And the themes from Jewish conspiracies through hostile migrants to the leader cult are really startlingly similar. But we shouldn't be startled because this is what Mr. Trump has been trying to tell us all along.
What are your thoughts about why people cheer at those dark, dark, dark lines with obvious historical echoes?
Well, the easy answer is that we don't know about the historical echoes. We told ourselves that history was over, that only good things could happen, that the market would bring us democracy, and that's just not how things work. The harder answer, the humanly harder answer, is that this kind of politics works. People like to think that they're on the side of the good, no matter what they do. People like to think that everything comes down to us and them. It's simple to give up your liberty to a leader and then try to experience it as freedom. All those things feel good, which is why we have to work against them. It's not that automatically people are democratic. It's that we have to recognize the threats to democracy as human inclinations, human weaknesses, natural human tendencies, name them for what they are, which in this case is fascist, and then defeat them and move on.
Liz Cheney points out that by threatening a critic with death, violent death in her case, this is how democracies turn into autocracies. Donald Trump, the Washington Post is out with some reporting about how Trump would penalize media companies, media organizations. Vice President Kamala Harris constantly talks about who Donald Trump is speaking to when he talks about the enemies within, journalists, judges, Democrats, nonpartisan election workers. What is your counsel to how to stay strong against what Judge Michael Ludick just called the imminent threat of Trumpism?
Mm-hmm. This helps us to see the difference between these two kinds of politics. This is not a normal election. This is not a normal candidate. When he invokes death and suffering and pain, he's telling us what a different kind of politics would be. It's no longer a back and forth of interests and values, where at the end of the day, we could all be better off. It's a different situation where pain is going to be directly inflicted, where people are going to suffer and die. And your only choice, if you want to be on the right side, is to enjoy that suffering, So we have to note just how bad things can get. But we should also recognize that the one thing which is not going to go on is this status quo where we're hovering between. Things could get much worse, but they could also get much, much better. We can turn this corner like other people have done before us, and we can get into a place which is much brighter.
Are you optimistic that that will happen next week?
I believe that if we all do the things that we can do, that is what will happen. I don't think anybody should sit back and predict. This is not science. It's not like the weather. It's something that we're directly involved in. But I believe that if the good people do the right things, if we get on the phone, if we get on the keyboard, if we get out and knock on doors, if we make sure that we're all voting, if we donate where we should donate, I think if everybody does the things that she or he can do, it's going to turn out all right.
At a personal level, when you started writing about and thinking about these things, did you ever think you'd be on TV 2 days before Election Day talking about the choices, the two candidates, as starkly different, not in terms of their policies or their parties, but that literally one would be a vote for democracy backed by Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Dick Cheney, and the other would be running as someone who wants to train 9 rifles on the face of Liz Cheney, a critic?
I mean, first of all, I want to start by applauding the physical courage of Liz Cheney and many other people who have taken stands against Donald Trump, because he has threatened violence against his fellow Republicans, as well as many other people who are far less privileged in this country. And each one of them who resists Donald Trump is taking a stand which involves physical courage. This is maybe a little bit familiar to me because I have friends around the world who have been engaged in similar struggles. And so when I see it happen in the United States, I'm not surprised. I try really hard not to be an American exceptionalist. I try not to think that the institutions are going to save us or that we're better than anybody else. I try to remember that if we're going to be better than anyone else, we have to show it. We have to show it, for example, in the next few days. We have to show it on Election Day. We have to show it after Election Day. So no, I'm not surprised as a person. I think we have to show who we are rather than imagining that something special is going to come out from history or come out from our exceptional character and do the work for us.
Whenever anyone asks how we figure out where the fault lines are in our politics, we credit you for so much of what you've taught us. So thank you very much for joining us today to have this conversation.
So glad to be with you. Thank you.
Coming up next for us.